everyone. Welcome back. I am really glad that you're here and I actually get to sew. This is pretty dang exciting. We're gonna make these two little cuties right here. And when I say little, I mean I thought they would be bigger blocks, but they end up being 9.5. So that means we get to use some tiny pieces, which you know how I love small pieces. So get ready to hear me whine about it this whole video. I really like these ones. These are more traditional kind of vintagey stars and classic and vintage quilt series. Okay, well, that explains it. But I love these star blocks and I've always wanted to make them. So I thought now is a great time. So this is called the Blazing Star. This is a free pattern that I got from Fat Quarter Shop. I have linked it below if you would like this one. Oh, they already have a YouTube tutorial for it, so redundant? Dad, that's okay. I'm sure it does not have my charisma or whininess about small flying geese, so make your call. This one is pretty straightforward. We are making some flying geese like I just said, but we're using the stitch and flip method. And for the half square triangles, we are doing 2 at a time method. And then for star points in the middle here, we're also doing the stitch and flip method. So we'll be able to do a lot of batch piecing on this one, which makes me pretty excited because I like to run as many pieces together as I can. So let's make this block, huh? This actually is pretty good for stash busting. So for a lot of my background, I am in my scrap bucket for that. The biggest piece that you're gonna need is a 3.5-inch square. So I like that really you could start digging through your buckets if you wanted to for this one. Let's make the opposite of this one. Let me show you what I'm using. So I've got these navy blossoms with kind of these grayish blue corners. And then we have the Stay Humble with the Albion stripes. And I think these are so cute together. I love all of these colors. There is a bundle for this. It's called the Lily Bundle. It just actually doesn't have this navy in it. I found one scraggler piece of the navy. So I'm using some of it, but I could definitely share. So I think if you're interested in this bundle, I can have 1/2 yard bundle. I'll kind of give you a better look at what those all are together. Isn't that cute? So this is what's on the website. These four like this, but I'm just going to add the navy in here and I'll have 1/2 yard bundle of all 5 of these. If you're interested, I'll put it up there. We're running low on these stripes and that actually makes me really sad because I think they are so pretty. I love the color. So hopefully I can find a replacement for that. Okay, anyways, so we're gonna do opposites. So where I have the navy star here, we're gonna flip flop for navy corners with the light gray blue in the middle instead. So I need 1 3.5-inch square. That is going to be the middle of our big star here. Then I'm going to need 8 2-inch squares that we're going to sew to the background square for our star points right here. We are going to need 2 2 7/8 squares, and this we're going to put together for our half square triangles. This is actually going to be this corner piece right here. So that's going to be our 2 at a time method. We need 2.5-inch by 1.5-inch rectangles. Got something in my eye and I can't ignore it longer. This is for our little bitty baby flying geese. I don't feel like they're big enough to be flying geese. So for our baby geese, this is the size we're using. So this is where that whining starts to kick in that I know you guys love so much. So why stop now? But this is the stitch and flip for those. We'll get to this in a second. I have all of my navy ones done, but these are 1.5 inch squares that we're going to use for the flying geese. And then we'll need 1.5 inch squares for the very corners of our block. So that is a quick rundown of what we'll need. We will make one of the little baby geese together, but we'll get there. Maybe I'm still processing it. Okay, let's jump into the 2 at a time. Oh, we need 4 3.5 inch squares for these pieces. Okay, now I'm done telling you. Let's make the half square triangles right now. We're gonna draw on this side of our 2 7/8 squares. I hate saying 2 7/8. Maybe it's just the 7/8. Oh yeah, it's the 7/8. It makes me lisp. The 2 7/8. Okay, I don't know what it is about that, but that combination is too hard for my brain to process. Okay, so we're going to draw diagonals on the back of these backgrounds. I usually just try to pick the lighter color, but you can pick whatever fabric you want. Then we are going to put these 2 squares right sides together, meaning pretty sides face each other. And then we are going to sew a 1/4 inch to the left of this orange line and a 1/4 inch to the right of this orange line, giving us this look. There we have it. So you can see my lines and hopefully you can see those stitches on both sides. Here's where I'm going to spew some cake thoughts. These, like I said, are 2 7/8. I honestly would suggest rounding that up to 3 inches. And I know it's only 1/8 of an inch, but these, oh, I don't need that. What am I doing? But these are so tight when you trim them. And I personally like to have a little bit more cushion when I'm trimming half square triangles. It just makes me feel better. I really don't like it when like I iron these and they like dip, you know, like fabrics likes to do on us because it's super rude. All we're doing is cutting you up and sewing you back together. I don't know why you're so grumpy with this fabric. But I just think it like when it swoops or it dips like that, like I really have a hard time with it. And so I would just suggest rounding up to at least 3 inches so that you actually have something to trim. So I cut all of those on our orange line, giving us the 2 at a time. I'm going to iron this up background up and over. And then when we get that far, then I'll show you what I'm talking about with trimming. All right, so there those are all nicely ironed. Let's trim. I like when I have excess because it makes me feel like I can get good crisp lines. Oh no, we're getting back into the habit where I don't find all of my this has the ruler under it. I'm going to be irritated. Sorry. I knew I had it out. Okay, so this is so tight. I'm going to take a picture of this, and this makes me really anxious and I don't like it. So here you can see I'm starting to line up this half square triangle. I like to use the angle in my ruler and line that up with the angle in this half square triangle, but look how tight that is. So we want these to be 2.5 inches. Do you see that? Like technically I am gonna cut some stuff off right here, but that's really nothing on this top, really nothing on the side, and really not that much on the bottom. And I would just prefer a little bit more space. So take that as you will. Maybe this doesn't bother you, but I like a little more buffer. So I think next time when I do my cutting, I'm going to cut 3-inch squares instead. So like I said, we're going to use that angle in our ruler and line it up with the angle in our half square triangle. I'm going to do my best to leave it a little bigger on this side. Cut the side and cut the top. And now as I rotate this one with our nice clean sides, I'm going to exactly butt that up with 2.5 inches and cut. I don't even think we're getting any off the top. Oh, okay. I guess technically. So I feel a little bit better when I have more than that to trim. But there we have our 2.5-inch half square triangle. So let's jump through the rest of these and then we will go to these star points here. And to the next step we go. So here we have our 2-inch squares, and our 3.5-inch background squares. This is our points. These are our points. And we are just going to replace 2 of the corners of these background squares with our 2-inch light blue squares. Yeah, okay, I had to double check. I'm like, wait, what are we doing again? This is my middle star. If you would like to draw a diagonal in these, this is an excellent time. I have little lines in my machine that helps me see where I'm sewing, so I don't need diagonals on smaller squares. But I will just show you on this one, just so you know. On the back of these squares, I have a diagonal now. I'll take this one off for a second if I can grab it. We're going to put these squares in the top right corner, right sides together. We will need to do both corners, but we cannot do both at the same time. We'll need to sew one on, trim it, and iron it over because these squares or these corners will overlap, giving us that seam allowance. So we will just do one at a time, but this is an excellent batch piecing opportunity. We are going to sew right on that line and repeat that for all 4 of these. We'll stitch and flip. That's what I really wanted to say. We will cut, we will iron, and then we will repeat from there. Okay, let's get there. Okay, so here is our batch piecing or chain piecing, tomato. We just did like things together, that's all. So we'll cut all of these apart, and then we are going to trim a 1/4 inch away from that line. Man, they're all right in front of my face. How do I lose things that are literally right in front of me? I'm going to find the 1/4 inch line, wherever that is for you on your ruler. I'm going to put that right on our seam and then trim off to the right. And then that gives us our 1/4 inch. But I kind of just eyeball it. Not sure if that's good advice or not, but there it is. I put it out there and I can't take it back. So I'm just going to trim through the rest of these if you're feeling confident, but if not, there's no problem with trimming. I think it's totally fine. We're going to iron these up and over, then we will add our next corner. Be careful when you're ironing, and especially when we get to the smaller flying geese, which I'm deliberately saving for last. Be careful when you're ironing this corner up and over. The fabric will want to stretch or warp or, you know, do whatever fabric does because it just likes to keep this interesting. And especially when you spray, if you do use spray starch, as soon as that fabric's wet, it really wants to warp. So just be careful on those corners. Now let's grab the rest of our 2-inch squares. And this is just going to go on the opposite side. My machine does not like to start in thick, and honestly, I'm sure a lot of machines don't like that. So instead of starting from the middle out like we did the first time, I'm just going to rotate my square and start from out and go through the middle. Either way it gets done is fantastic. That's just something that I've noticed. Let's get through these ones. Another batch of chain piecing. I won't make you watch me do this again since we just did it together. So let's do some magic. Star points done. They're actually still really warm. I like hit those together and I was like, ooh, toasty. We'll put those off to the side with our half square triangles because we are done with those. That's still our middle, so we'll leave it. Now we get to make the baby geese. Yesterday, Kate made a mistake, and instead of making the light blue geese for this one, I ended up making the navy geese. And so yesterday, Kate was pretty grumpy about it. But today, Kate is actually pretty pumped because I don't have to do all of them now. But we will walk through one together, and I'll just use it on another block. So it all worked out in the end. Here we have 1.5 inch squares of our color, whichever your corners are going to be. And then we have our 2.5 inch by 1.5 inch strip. We're going to put right sides together. Again, excellent opportunity to draw that diagonal through your squares if you'd like to. We are going to sew, honestly, exactly what we just did with those. So we're going to sew this square right sides together, trim it that 1/4 inch, iron it up and over, and then repeat on that side. So maybe we don't even have to do that at all. So this is going to be like super magic because not only am I going to breeze through this baby geese, but this baby geese is going to go from pink to navy like this. Ta-da! So literally the same thing that we just did here, just a little bit smaller scale. And for those of you that love tiny pieces as much as I do, it's great. It's great. We actually will need 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. But it feels like you're doing a million because they're just so cute and so precious and tiny. It's fine. I'm fine. It's okay. Let's scoot this out of the way and let's lay this out. We have those points. We'll just put those all around our middle. And so there's our star for the middle, but now we get to kind of build these corners, and that's where it starts getting even smaller, which makes it even more fantastic. Okay, good, you can see that. So we're gonna take one baby geese. It goes on top of our half square triangle there. Our other baby geese is going to go to the left of the square. And then we have our 1.5 inch background square. That's gonna go right here in that corner. So we're gonna repeat that for all 4 sides, but let's just do this one. I'm going to sew these baby geese on top. That just makes sense to my brain. And then I'll sew this as a strip. And then these 2 strips will sew together right here at this seam. So I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Ironing gets a little hairy, so I will show you how I iron this block as soon as we're done. But I guess we'll just get to there. Here we go. We should be magicked, but I feel like I need to show you this. When it came to ironing these strips, I ironed this background piece up and over, sending the seam or all of the bulk right here this way. And it actually then doesn't mess with this bulk down here so that it keeps it laying smooth. And then on this one with the half square triangle, I ironed that half square triangle up and over. So again, this bulk right here from the baby geese then doesn't have to move. That fabric right there actually sits really nicely on top, which is also a benefit for when we come to put these 2 strips together, because now those seams will be opposing, and then we can lock our seams in there and make a happy little fabric sandwich. So that's just what I'm doing, and I figured, I said I was going to show you, so I should probably do what I said I'm going to do and show you. So okay, bye, back to magic. And there we have our corner pieces. They look like bats. So happy Halloween. I made you a bat. But here's how I ironed that last piece. So again, where we're trying to, so this was my one strip and this was my other strip. So again, trying to avoid messing with that bulk, I ironed this piece up and over. So small things, I mean, are small, and I feel like my big old hands get in the way. But another hard thing that I have with small things is ironing it well so that they stay out of each other's way and it lays down smoothly. And sometimes it's just kind of hard because you get so much stuff going on back there, like right next to each other. So take it as you will. But I think trying to find the best way to avoid bulk is worth the extra time. Okay, let's put this together. So we're gonna make 3 rows. 1, 2, 3 in that row. 1, 2, 3 in this middle row. And then 3 in that bottom row. And we're done. And there is our cutie blazing star. And I actually think I like this combination better than that. And I know they're exactly the same. But I like that gray star in the middle. Aren't those adorable? I love them. So my plan is just to like flip-flop them like I'm doing throughout the whole thing. And then probably like sew them into a 4 square. So I'll do the opposite of this pink with the darker in the middle and the lighter on the out. And then probably sew those 4 together for like 1 block. Does that make sense? For whatever reason, it's easier on my brain just to do them in chunks like that. It's probably all a mind game, and I'll admit to that. But I think these are going to be super cute. Real quick, here is the pattern again. Blazing Star, Fat Quarter Shop exclusive. Really cute pattern. Like I said, like a very traditional block. Before we wrap, I did have a lot of votes for January for those mystery stitches quilt tops. So let's just push that auction, that silent auction, until January, and then we'll go from there. If you would still like to pre-order some fabric bundles for our free workshop coming up on the 15th of November, then I'm giving it, I'm pretty sure it's all next week because Riley Blake actually ships pretty quickly, so I can give it some more time. I just want to make sure that I have enough for those of you that are ready to start now. We've got Mary Catherine, we've got Olive Grove, and then we have the Charming Christmas. So be sure to grab one of those if you're interested. Like I said, pre-order is the best way to definitely get one. After the fact, I may only have a couple. So there's that. If you're interested in a 1/2 quarter bundle of these cutie fabrics, I have one available. I'll actually put it up in my shop on that first landing page. Oh, those are the same thing. On that first landing page so that you can see it as soon as you get there. It is so cute. I really love all these colors together. I think they're adorable. I think next video I'm going to be pulling something out of the basket to keep working on. I'm still having a silent protest against those checkers. I'm convinced there's something wrong in the pattern because every set of checkers I make is 1/4 of an inch off. Every single set. And I just cannot imagine that I'm making the same exact mistake every single time. I know I make mistakes, but I'm not consistent like enough to do the same exact mistake over and over again. So I think that's what's going on with Postmark. I think there's something a little bit off in the pattern. So we're just going to keep ignoring my problems for a little bit longer and then pull out another one. I think next time we'll recap on the butterscotch quilt. And here's a reminder of, oh, that's fabric. And here's a reminder of that one. This is what that one looks like, the butterscotch. But if you remember, I'm doing it in all these cute bright colors. I literally, did the tutorial and then have not made a block since. So I think we're going to touch back with this one because it's so cute. And it's been sitting there, so how lovely. So I think we'll touch in with butterscotch next week. And it's going to be awesome. So until then, friends, we will see you. Bye. Just to get stuck to me in the most awkward spot. It's